I honor benevolent beings in this plane of existence and all planes of existences. And whenever you are seeing this video, whether you are logging in live pre-Mother's Day in the year 2026, the title says Cancel Consents and Contracts Daily. And I'm going to talk about a little bit about the fact that we are entering all types of contracts daily just via navigating the plane of existence, via casual communications, as well as official contracts being signed, as well as tests being taken, questionnaires, all those things. Okay, it seems like it's just rando, schmando, standard things that we're doing to just take care of business, navigate our lives, going to the grocery store, talking to a case manager, talking to the utility company, talking to, you're applying for something and they, ask you a series of questions to determine your qualifications. Okay, all these things, all these exchanges. Now, this is not meant, I need to say, or I'm going to say that this is not doom. This is just an awareness, but the empowerment of what we can do with the fact that that is what's happening on an energetic level, on a vibrational level. There are invisible threads and cords that are being created all the time. And so, so let's say, for an example, your current reality is you are dealing with various programs, community programs, governmental programs, and it doesn't even have to be governmental. It can be even private sector. The bottom line is you are communicating with them, and you are exchanging energy, exchanging information. You are answering series of questions that seems harmless, but these are called language spells. We're tricked. We don't know this, and by affirming and confirming with our mouth certain things, that is the solidification of such coming from your own mouth or your own when you're signing. Okay, these are still your consents. Okay, your affirmation or your affirming that yes, I am, because you go to behavioral health, you go to all these things, you have to answer these questions, and then you're told that the way they kind of low-key manipulate it is you're told that, in order to get the services and the help in which you're trying to get from me, from our business, from our program, from this particular thing, then the more detrimental you are, the more likely you are to get the support, or the more rapidly you are possibly to get the support. So, of course, navigating this plane of existence, you're going to say, hey, okay, I have a goal in mind. I'm a parent. I'm responsible in this realm to, I have to navigate these things that are bullshit. But, if not, then I'll be flagged as somebody who is not doing the things necessary to properly take care of the children. So you deal, you talk, you explain, you questionnaire, you do one assessment after the next. You do all these things, but these are also contracts. These are spells, they're contracts, they're consents. Because our voice is the affirmation, as well as when we sign. Now, I need to say that not all of the individuals that are facilitating those things are aware of what I am saying. So this is not about looking at them sideways. This is really about our own awareness of what's energetically being done every time we affirm something with our mouth in the name of getting some assistance, or in the name of whatever goal is in mind. So how, now here's the empowerment. Here's the empowerment. And what can you do about that? Because the apex, the oxymoron, the catch 22, especially if you're a parent, this is really how the other powers that's behind it, not the facilitators. A lot of times the facilitators are in the blind, but the other powers that be, this how to get shot. This is it. Because if you're a parent in this plane of existence and you don't tap dance in a certain manner, you're gonna be flagged as somebody who is not doing the things necessary so that they can then deem you as unfit, so that they can then be under the, responsibility, duty to report, so that they can do all of those things in the name of getting you seen in a light that they want you to be seen in, and possibly cause an issue for you and your children. So this is why I'm sharing it, especially for people out there that's either taking care of children or, they could be adult disabled, and what the real is, but you also are needing to navigate certain things and programs in this realm. So you can do all those things, and you can also still cancel them. Because it's still about your word, okay? It's still about what you affirm, period. What you cancel, what you consent to, and where you are consenting under duress, okay? Because basically, that's what it is. I don't care how we flip this pancake, it's still under duress. Because if you don't, see, it's an unspoken duress. It's an unofficial duress, because it's, I must do this if, first and foremost, I don't want to be looked at as an unfit parent that is denying, that is not utilizing, okay? I don't want there to be a problem, or not only that, if if my reality is warrant, I need, needing assistance in some way, well, the duress is negative. Take off the cutoff khakis, French braids, and house shoes, and put on the other version. Okay, so because I can't stop laughing. If you want the support, it's still under duress, just unspoken, unofficial. If you want whatever we have, you is got to consent. So in other words, you have got to bind yourself. You have got to unofficially, again, I want to emphasize, facilitators aren't always in the know. A lot of them are now, though. A lot of them know. Because a lot of them are asked to get you on the phone, talk to you, ask you questions. Because first and foremost, those are consents to energy exchange right there. That's why I'm saying what I'm saying here. Those are consents to energy exchange. And if there's any foul play at play that's in the background, depending if it's a phone call, foul play is happening on the phone. Whether it is in the form of illegally surveilling people that have no business hearing and knowing nothing about what you're saying. Okay? Whether it's being tapped, whether it is a third party that's been brought in, whether it is, people that are doing that to have access unofficially because you don't know they're there, so they can do rituals or whatever the case may be, so they can try to thread a cord with you. For some of you, that's why a lot of people, because you could have, when you start putting up boundaries, you don't really engage much. You're kind of on the absolute must do. Then they create must do's. They create the must do's to force you to have to talk to them, to have to engage. They will come up with all kinds of things under the guise of support, help, requirements, procedures, policies. They will keep moving the goalposts. Well, we didn't, now we have a new, all in the name of getting intel, all in the name of getting in your energy, because those are unofficial consents and contracts. It ain't always about saying I consent. It's consenting the moment we exchange with people. Everybody's doing it. It ain't even just on like a deep level. It's just standard for life in this realm. That's what's happening. That's the quantum, the energetic containment happening constantly. If your energy is compromised, I mean, I don't want to get too far off into other topics, but let's just focus on that's what's happening. And if you're a parent and you're rebuilding and you're working with these entities, it may be imperative that you're doing cancellations every single day. Or as you feel guided, every phone call. If you do some kind of phone call that was long and involved, it may be important that you and it doesn't have to be nothing deep and involved and you go into a cave with a robe. This is something, because it's your mouth, your voice is the consent. Your utterance is the consent or the revocation of such as well. Okay? So, again, you got to have these interviews. Okay? And you can cancel consent to energy exchange upon completion. For some, you can, depending on the situation, you can have on like certain frequencies going, depending on how you're communicating with the people, whether it's in person or if it's over the phone, and you can have a different device, have the phone on speaker and use a different device and have your earbuds. Like there's different things that you can do to kind of somewhat buffer your energy, especially if you have a strong suspicion and reason to believe that people are exploiting your life. So in other words, they have infiltrated your dwelling space. They have infiltrated businesses via the weasels. Okay, and not all of them are weasels. Sometimes there's a few weasels that's making the deals. Okay, and then maybe the big boss don't know, and the big boss don't, or maybe one of the bosses know, and then one of the subordinates know, and the other one don't, and so there's creative ways for you. And again, I don't have all the answers. I'm simply sharing the things that I'm just coming to realize that's going to be of extreme importance. Okay, because these are sometimes folks, there's not a lot of boundary honoring in a lot of programs, in a lot of, it's all in the name of we need data. A lot of bureaucracy. Some of it they don't even really do nothing with. And sometimes I call it paper filler, because in order to get many years ago, I used to, 2009? No, that was at the end when I left. So I think I started there 2000, end of 2006, 2007. I started the company, and then the company closed in 2009. But it was a nonprofit organization that I was working for that was geared to assist children that was in the foster care system that's aging out, and they start processing them anywhere between like 17 to 21 was the demographic that we dealt with. And, but basically, there was individuals there that was a part of program writing, what you say, like the ones that were trying to write for grants and proposals and things like that. And then we would have audits, and boy, it was almost like Watergate. Boy, I tell you what, when it was time for our asses, Watergate reference, Nixon. Some of y'all may be too young to know what I mean by that, but um, it it was like you're going through the because it's the paper. It's okay. These are the people that can determine we have the grant or we lose the grant. Okay, whatever that is. Anywho, there are certain things that has to be in place when you are grant writing for grant proposals, and a lot of the stuff, it's my little inside joke sometimes, that they'll end up doing is it's paper filler. It's like it's gotta have enough in there to make it feel or seem legitimate, and so a lot of the stuff that participants, the receivers, end up happening to experience and go through is a lot of unnecessary bureaucracy. Is to make something look official, to make something look like there's being proper protocol followed, and oftentimes protocols aren't being followed anyway, but it is for all intents and purposes made to look like that. Okay, got off track with that, but here's back to what I'm saying. I guess I shared that to say I do have some knowledge about the background. Okay, when you're dealing with that type of stuff, I was exposed for a few years. Okay, and that wasn't the only, as I think back, that's not the only one that I think I worked for. But anywho, so we're consenting, when we're answering these yes or no questions, we're affirming based on whatever that was. Labels also is a contract to tether to that frequency, that energy, even if it ain't true. You see that? Even if it's actually not accurate. But it is to tether in order to create the frequency and the vibration of it. And as a result, to manifest certain things, okay? So now let's get to, like I said, the empowerment, the good stuff. Simple, dimple. Okay? It doesn't have to be sophisticated. In fact, the more natural, smooth that it can be, the easier and second nature it becomes for you to be able to do whenever, however. Okay? I highly recommend this as at minimum a daily practice, but otherwise, if you feel guided and you're in the space to do it as often as you need to do it, then do it as you feel guided to do it. Long conversations, a long drawn out interview, that you're dealing with bureaucracy, that you're needing to consent to things that you really don't want to consent to, but you have a goal. So if you're wanting that support. So you can say upon completion of an interview, an assessment, a test, a phone call, upon even signing contracts, literal contracts, you can say, however you need to say it naturally. I have my own version. Sometimes I'll say stuff like abracadabra, or I'll bring in Reiki or something, and I'll say, I hereby withdraw, revoke, renounce, decant, destroy, and uncreate all language, spells, and consents via casual communication, via exchange, all fealties, communities, oaths, vows, promises, contracts, and agreements. 2, now if it's in the moment, it's going to be based on who I engage with and any background energy. Okay? All who surveilled. All entities. all beings, whatever it is. And I'll add, some of my other special words that I like to add to bring in the element of alchemy. And sometimes then I call it reading reverse. If there was projections, I'll do a reading reverse, and I'll also do a calling of my essence, and then I'll put some kind of numerical code based on that. Blah blah blah. Take some deep breaths, cleansing, holding that intention. Okay. And those are just, again, it's not going to fix everything, but it is going to energetically assist, okay, with those language spells, with those consents. That's why when you're targeted, when they start sending people, that's what it is. The people may not know that. You see that? They may not always understand that that's how they're being used. But that's what it is. People that don't like you, forcing their way into your field to, say, hey, hi, how you doing? So as a standard practice, and like I said, we don't have to be all upset and bothered by this or feel doomy or anything like that. It's just an awareness. Okay, everything is energy. It is. Okay. Whether people are intending harm or not, whether, from those who are conscious aware, those who are not, those who mean harm, those who don't, it's still, some people are parasitic and vampire-y, leechy, and don't even know from an energy side. I'm not saying that something's wrong with them. I'm saying they don't realize, and I'm not talking about success versus not success and money versus not money. You can be leechy and have money. Now somebody gonna catch that one day. Because when you hear the terms leechy, it's most commonly people's brain is typically on somebody who's needy, and we go to the material and the physical, but you can actually have all of the material and be a vampire, energy vampire, be a leech. You can have all of the money, all of the stuff and status, and yet be an energy vampire. Because sometimes that's how the fuck they got what they got in the first place. Unbeknownst to us. Okay? So it's not about, they must don't have anything, so their energy. No, people possibly depleted them. It's possibly why they don't. See, it's upside down. It's upside down. Okay, boom. So that's that. We're counseling consents. We can do this daily. We can do it as often as we need to, because we are entering with these invisible cords, these invisible subtle contracts. And if you're dealing with government programs, if you're dealing with businesses and entities that, behavioral health industry, the medical industry, these are all contracts. These are all language spells. That you declare yourself mentally unstable. By way of the abuse and by way of trying to properly assist yourself, you see that? And then there's a manifestation of your words. There's symptoms of your words that you decreed and spoke and affirmed. And however, as I said, this is why I'm attempting to help here. Because if you don't participate These are all subtle attempts to get a target, if you're a targeted person, to get a target deemed inadequate and inept, unfit. It's all part of it. Have you ever wondered why you go to all these places and you feel more drained and depressed than you did when you were... Oh, nobody want to talk about that. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Because it makes you wonder. Because it's like, okay, you go in there and now you feel you feel mental health needs, bitch. You feel like yeah, you go in there. Yes, you do. Yeah, it's a frequency up in this bitch. To get it to seep and to get you to affirm. You see it? I'm going to end this video and I'm going to come back and I'm going to talk about something that I've been talking about for years, and I have to remind myself of this. And a gentleman that I follow on TikTok, I think, did I say that I might be able to upload his video? Because I think he had his settings to where you could download his video. So, I'll see if I could bring his up, but we're going to talk about on my next video, the observation trick. Quantum physics. I've been saying this for years, and those of you who have followed me long enough, if you dig in my archives, you'll see me referencing this stuff back in 2018, 19, 20. The quantum physics. There's a theory that something is made manifest or materializes via the observer's observation, and it moves. It's a thing, and I'm not saying it entirely properly here, but it's the premise of the observation brings the consciousness, it brings the attention to it, and then it shifts via the observation. The observation trick with what they're doing with targets, it's all distraction. It's a part of why they do what they do, so that you'll take your eyes, energy, attention, and focus. See that? So that you're forced by way of all of their whatever to pay, P-A-Y, to what? Pay. What? Attention. And what is another word for that? Energy. Focus. On them. So that you can give them energy, give them awareness, give them power, give them relevance, give them, you hear it? Give them, versus where you would otherwise have your attention, energy, and focus on. This is why they're terrified of you having solace. This is why they want to try to force you to be overly active too. Overly active and exposed to the elements unnecessarily. Because if they can do that, then they can, bring in the, cue all the chaos, bitch, officially and unofficially, bitch, So that hopefully this is why they don't want you to not be without your responsibilities in every moment. This is why they want you, because they're hoping to force hard, what does they call it in the computer technology? Never mind. But they're trying to, it's a force. If y'all can see my face. It's a force. Okay, because this person, they're too self-reflective, self-aware. They know how to do that. So then we need, bitch, okay, uh, you know, bring some random hooker to force them in front of the disabled man. We need we need their attention. Loud noises, loud chaos. Cue the sirens 5 times in an hour. Street theater, have them go outside, start fighting. Ghetto ass, loud ass music. Listen, I'm from the ghetto, and I've kind of always hated that shit, ironically enough. But anyway, where it's like, okay, I'm good, I'm cool with a cool party and shit. I like to, have fun like everybody else. But I always had a vibe where it's like, why we gotta be extra all the damn time? Shit. I'm okay, good. I'm happy. You got some rims and a Bose sound system. Good. Okay, I got you. I got you. You happy because you got some bomb ass. Okay, well, but but anyway, our observation is an observation lock attempt. What can we do with that? On my next video, I'm gonna get into some ways that some of the creators that I follow, as well as some of the things that I am re-implementing, because we all gotta be reminded to even help myself. Some stuff is a trick. The awareness serves when it comes down to something we need to know and something that we can adjust. But beyond that, then it becomes an observation lock trick. You can't be focusing on the chaos and focusing on yours, what you intend all at once. And that's why they want you distraught, burdened, weighted down, and call it, this is abuse culture, call it diligence. I always wondered why, and it's especially doing my own people. It's something that I'm really starting to really gear there. But like, what is that? And people who are subscribed to that, and maybe they have worn themselves to an early grave, or just unhappy or whatever, and so then they feel like that's the way it should be, and that's life, and everybody should have to go about things in the same manner in which they have. Otherwise, it's not looked upon as being diligent, proactive. It's abuse. It's abuse culture. Who determines all that? Who's to say? Because I'm an advocate of work smarter. Smarter. Smart. That's suitable for you. You see it, you catch it. Didn't say be negligent, it says work smart. Because listen to me, whoever you are when you see this video, You know your own strengths and your own limitations. You know what you're experiencing mentally and physiologically in every way, shape, form, or fashion. You know better than anyone else. I don't care how similar of experience they've had, they're not you and you are not them. And you know. Your limitations. And again, it's about what people subscribe to. It's like if I'm not tired and worn down and panting and looking worn and tethered all the time as I do all this busy nothingness, this false productivity, driving or walking around in circles, and it's make it seem like I'm doing something. That ain't necessarily productive. And some of those things are outdated ways of getting things done in 2026. There's a whole lot of folks, I'm way off track now, a whole lot of folks, when it comes to businesses and stuff nowadays, a whole lot of stuff ain't operating the way it did in the 90s, baby. It ain't operating the way it did in the early 2000s. Now we are in a digital world. You can find, you might luck up, but for the most part, in a digital world, you ain't finna just be walking up on some shit nowadays. You ain't finna be, bitch, just walking up on some shit. You can. And then they're gonna direct you to their website when you walk through those doors. You're gonna go in there. I've done it, that's why I can say it. You're gonna go in there and say, hi, my name is so and so, I'm interested in a job, or hi, my name is so and so, I'm interested in an apartment, and applying for a, hi, my name is so and so, I'm interested in getting on a waiting list, hi, my name is so and so, I'm interested in doing that. They're gonna say hi, and they're gonna hand you a nice little packet. They're gonna say, oh yeah, sure. Well, everything that you need to know is right here. If you go onto our website at and click on, and they'll give you all that you need to know. And if there's any, follow the steps and the prompts. If the waiting list, and complete that, and someone will. Don't call us, we'll call you. Anyway, so let me wrap this up. It serves to know your own limitations and all those things, and your own health conditions. The world is not as privy to a lot of things as we act. I just as of 2000 and what's that? 17, 18, when I started going real deep into research, I just found out about adrenal fatigue. I didn't. Well, you would have said that to me before then. I would have been like, who? And what is the adrenals? And what? And most narcissistic abuse survivals typically deal with the possibility of tethering on the line of adrenal fatigue. And that is actually more serious than it sounds. And so if you try to push, there's an exhaustion that's abnormal. It's not like the normal tired that we all experience day to day. It's no. This is something else. And it could, yeah. So when ignorance is full frontal, then you would have people speaking out of turn and speaking out of the scope they should speak. Claiming something they have no business claiming. that somebody is lazy. But that's the abuse culture. And then that narcissistic, well, if it was me, and it is not you. We're all different, and that's something the world must catch up to. We may have 2 arms, 2 legs, like, got some basic things we share in common, but not everybody is bringing on adrenal fatigue. Not everybody is a survivor of narcissistic abuse. Not everybody is currently experiencing narcissistic abuse to the same magnitude. Not everybody is dealing with all the same variables and circumstances. Even if they're had similar, at the end of the day, what affected one's body one way affected someone else's body in another way. That's why it serves humanity expand. Abuse culture, I'm canceling it. You're not productive if you're not busy and exhausted and looking worn and tethered. You're not really trying if you're not beating yourself up to oblivion, to exhaustion, which is unproductive, because then you're not clear and intuitive and you can't make proper decisions in that vibration. It's a luck of the draw. It's a roll of the dice. You may luck up and make some. But that's no way to live. Wholeness and holistic health and even being productive also still involves self-care. It involves knowing your limits. It involves management of you properly. Management of somebody else is really not our jurisdiction, and their variables are different than our variables. But it involves that. And just know that, whoever you are, when you do see this video, because there's a lot of trajectory work of this world operates in projection, assumptions, judgments, projection. Then people may watch you on social media if you're a content creator, and then they get activated and bothered by that. And then they want to place some judgment on that. Once again, out of the scope, out of their jurisdiction, speaking and talking out of turn and out of line, none of their business. But then from there, most of the time, these are people that are secretly watching you in the first place. They tell on themselves they don't know it, but it's that people. Listen, I learned this in Texas, yo. I figured that shit out way back in Silsky. Cause if you ain't telling people shit and they acting funny, why the fuck they acting funny? That's cause they ass is watching you online. Okay, with this smirking, being weird and doing stuff, it's like, okay, you don't know me, you don't know me, but maybe you know because you're watching my social media. So often, these are people who want to project their ways. Well, they're on social media, so they could be, who are you? How do they know what that person has done and hasn't done? You see the ignorance? They can be on the phone researching. How you know they ain't did all that. Well, they should be doing the 8 hours, who said? It's like a job, okay. But how do people know it ain't happening in 8 hours just because it's not in the 8 hours in which, oh yeah, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do that. Because again, people shouldn't be that. Let me tell you something right now. Folks ain't got no business being that goddamn invested in you. I don't care what business they are. That is out of the scope, because I guarantee you that is not something that's being done for every client that businesses have. I guarantee you that's not their focus, that's not what they're doing, that's not what they're looking into. They can care less. They don't care. These be people looking for something to pick at. Something on an assignment to paint a narrative of you. And if they don't like and agree and approve of what they're seeing on social media, that's their motivation. And what can we do about that? There's nothing we need to do except for continue to work with our frequency management, work with the adjustments that I'm talking about here, canceling these consents, rerouting our focus and attention as often as we need to, getting practices that can help us to do that more often and more easily, so that this is how we are calling our power and our energy and our focus to us. This is how. Not force, it's by energy reroute. Frequency adjustment. Because listen, the elementary version of what I just said is when you were a little kid, you're 6 and you had let's say you're 8 and you have a 5-year-old playmate, sibling, visitor, whatever. And that 5-year-old has a certain temperament and personality and they want attention. You are trying to draw, play on your video game, whatever it is, sitting quietly. You're trying to mind your business and be in your own energy, right? Okay? Mm-hmm. The 5-year-old is bored. The 5-year-old is looking for some feed, some supply. The 5-year-old is feeling some kind of way. They're feeling left out. They're feeling uncomfortable. They're feeling whatever they're feeling. The 5-year-old, and for whatever, sure, there may be other things that they can go do. Find a toy. Go get something, but they are fixed on you. Because that's where they feel better. Okay. So they come in front of you and they put their finger in front of your face. And just keep it there. And you look up and say, move your finger, move your hand, move. Don't see I'm focusing. I'm not bothering you. I'm not touching you. I'm not doing nothing to you. I'm not doing nothing to you. I'm not bothering you. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. The 8-year-old yells out to whoever the parent or caretaker is, Mom, Dad, babysitter, whoever. Little Susie, little John, little whoever. They won't leave me alone. Little Susie, little John said, I'm not touching them. I'm not touching them. I'm not touching them. Babysitter, caretaker say, to the 8-year-old, oh, ignore them. Just ignore them. I have, and they won't go away. Well, just get up and go to whatever, and then they follow you around. Essentially, that is what many of you out there are dealing with in an adult version. Under the guise of programs, under the guise of community, corrupt enterprises, and all the various weird behaviors and activities that they, cue around you. That's what it is. I'm not bothering you. I'm not bothering you. I don't do nothing. I'm not bothering you. Unofficially, when it comes to business, it's like, well, these are just things we're required to do. And then some cases asking questions that are inappropriate, stuff like that has nothing to do with what they should really be trying to gather from you. Why? To bother you. Plausible deniability. While acting like they're not trying to bother you. Okay, what can you do in those cases? Slow down, pause, even if it annoys them. So that you can be less reactive and respond the way you want to respond. Because again, I'm not bothering you. I'm not bothering you. In the world, randos doing the stuff, it's the same thing. Had people literally step backwards as me and my son is walking down the street in the name of, they were just cued to stand there waiting for us and walk backwards as we're walking. Like, I've had interesting experiences. Continue to have very interesting experiences here. I know what these people are doing. I know who they are. I know who sent them. All in the name of attention. I'm not bothering you. I'm not bothering you. I'm not doing nothing. I'm just going to the mailbox. I'm just taking our trash. I just happen to walk backwards. I don't know. Maybe I need a helmet. So that you're forced, just like the 5-year-old and the 8-year-old, to force that 8-year-old to pay them fucking attention. And if we could graduate that this is about energy, from an energetic perspective, from a vibrational perspective, from that place, versus just like the immaturity, high schooly. No, it's about energy. It's about, yeah. It's about energy harvesting in that way. Keep you pulled out of yourself by way of constant stimulation and distractions. That's why they're nervous about you being quiet and serene, and this is why they're bothered by the idea of you having privacy that you should. If you're in the U.S., you're supposed to have a human and civil right to a certain level of privacy. This is why they can't fade that. They can't handle it. So they have to come up with creative ways to get false surveillance under the guise of programs. This is how programs are exploited, so that they can illegally utilize that. Okay. Some of you all are catching up. Like, why are they so hard? I used to didn't get it. Like, what's wrong with these people? Why I can't go to the damn bathroom? The fuck are they scared of? They scared of your stillness. They're scared of what you discover in it. Gotta go.